just hit it. You're good. Now you can play this.
I hit it too. All right.
Hello, everybody. We had a false start, but that was my fault. So I didn't train Matt all that well. But Matt, thank you again for impromptu guest hosting. I appreciate it. And tonight we welcome back Christina. And I think is Edward there too? I can't see. But Christina, friend of the show, lives in Darlington, right next to East Palestine. She's an affected resident. I was going to go live to talk about Biden and his executive order after almost 8 months of us begging. And it's been sitting on his desk for over 2 months. So last night he says, okay, let's do it. So first, Christina, what are your thoughts when you get told by someone or see on the news or what have you that Biden is finally doing an executive order?
Well, when we saw it was an executive order, it was kind of like, well, that'll do for now. It kind of feels like it's just from after what we read from it and stuff, it's just a further investigation into what is going on. So
exactly,
it's not really, in a way, maybe we don't really understand what it's supposed to bring yet, but we've been waiting for 8 months almost for help.
Yeah.
And what kind of help is this really bringing us?
Right. And we're going to read one of the articles here in a minute, but one of the things I've heard talking heads say, and also this article, is it uses the word continued for support from Norfolk Southern.
Yeah.
So I want to get to that first. What kind of support have they given you guys thus far?
Well, not much. Some people do get assistance from the assistance center through Norfolk Southern, but other people have also been cut off from that assistance. Where I'm at, since I'm 5.8 miles from the derailment and have been sick, have a diagnosis of chemical exposure, and I've had no help from Norfolk Southern. I've gone to the EPA multiple times for help with testing. I've gone and talked to a representative of Norfolk Southern that's in town and asked if they would help even with water for anybody in East Palestine or outside in Pennsylvania, outside the 1 mile radius. And you're too far away.
Yeah.
So like, there's really been no help for Norfolk Southern. For me, there's not really been help from the EPA either.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've been told, and I've covered it on the show many times, people who are supposed to have things covered by Norfolk Southern literally getting chased out of the assistance office and demeaned and insulted and having to pay for things themselves anyway. And I also want to stress to people, these people pay for stuff themselves and then hope to get reimbursed. This isn't Norfolk Southern going around places like, hey, let's pay for this. Now you're good for this amount of time. Things like that. That's not what happens. People then have to bring their receipts and hope that they get someone with a conscience. But yeah, I mean, reading the articles I did and looking at, a little coverage today, I don't see anything that is for the people themselves in this executive order, which of course was one of our fears. So Matt, let's read this article and just kind of, get into this synopsis.
Yeah. Okay. This is from Fox 8. Biden issues executive order for recovery efforts after East Palestine derailment. This is from yesterday, about 24 hours ago, actually. There's a video above, but there's not much meat to it, so I don't see any use in playing it. East Palestine, Ohio. President Joe Biden issued an executive order on Wednesday in an effort to protect residents impacted by the East Palestine toxic train derailment. I have this order open in another tab. We can look at it here in a second. Under the order, FEMA must name a federal disaster recovery coordinator to oversee long-term recovery efforts in the area. They will also assist needs that aren't being met by Norfolk Southern. Is they FEMA or is they the coordinator here? I wonder.
Yeah, sure. I took it as the coordinator, but that's a good question.
And it says FEMA has to name the coordinator within 5 days. So clock's ticking. Wonder who that will be.
Please don't let it be Mark. That's all I'm saying.
And is 5 business days or 5 days?
That's a good question.
It says 5 days. Maybe the actual order will be more specific, but yeah, pretty vague because we are coming up on a weekend. I wonder if that counts. So it goes on further. The EPA will keep removing contaminated soil and wastewater from the derailment site and make sure any surface stream contamination is addressed, the executive order states. So they will keep removing contaminated soil and wastewater from the derailment site. But what if you're 5 miles from the site? And make sure any surface stream contamination is addressed, whatever that means.
So if we break that down so far, they're talking about doing what they're already doing in the executive order.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
Surface means like the water that's right on the surface, like without going into the sediment.
I see. So they just scoop water out of the stream and test it. They're not really testing whatever's already in the dirt.
That's right.
Testing. Okay.
And Christina knows firsthand. She has a TikTok. So when you put a stick in there, it and like bubbles and there's rainbow and stuff. So if they're just checking, the top or what have you.
Yeah, at this point you have to go down there with a shovel.
Yeah.
Not a stick anymore. It's like a shovel because it's moving so far down into the sediment that
it's
it's hard to turn. You do still turn it up with a stick, but what you're really like when you really get into looking for the contaminations, you have to dig.
But it's really a matter of time before it, starts coming to surface.
Yeah,
that is so scary.
Also, like another way that you see it a lot is when you turn up a rock. I just did this a couple weeks ago with somebody else in town, where you turn up a rock, and if there's black on the bottom of the rock, especially black chunks of this, like, it's like this goo, and you break it with a stick, and then you dip it just into the water, it will erupt in chemicals.
Oh,
so there's
no.
like, literally like little chunks, and they're hard to find. They're not on all the rocks, but like you come across one and it's something. I've gone and taken the video I had to the EPA in town and showed him the video, the video, and he had said that, well, he goes, well, that's not organic matter. So
what?
No. Oh my God. Didn't one of your reps, I remember when we met with Durno, didn't you say one of your reps you spoke to and they didn't even understand, they weren't aware that this was still happening?
They've been told from my representative and a couple other people that we've talked to too, they've been told that everything's starting to look better, and they like not what we're living is what they're being told. I mean, like, yeah, there are some people in town who have not experienced things the way that we have, but like if you go to the creek and you look, it's there. So like, yeah, my representative, he was shocked at some of the videos I showed him of the creek, and also for the plume map, this was like a little over a month ago, and I went down there and showed him the plume map from the EPA, and he was like, wow, I didn't realize this went this far into PA.
There's not a freaking wall. Like,
well, he agrees with that, but he's pretty concerned. From what he had told me, he was pretty concerned with, like, even though there's people who aren't experiencing things right now, we don't know what this is going to do in the future. We don't know what these toxic chemicals can do. We don't even know if something else was created that they're not even testing for or able to test for, because we don't know what this combination of chemicals can do.
Right. Absolutely. And there are more and more chemicals coming up. At first, they only thought it was like vinyl chloride, and now other ones are popping up. So time is really going to tell. And, that's one of the things that really bothers me about the executive order. If we bring that synopsis back up, we're going to see that there are bullet points as to lengths of time. And frankly, after 8 months, they're not acceptable.
Yeah, let me read through these. So it says, also, several agencies will provide President Biden with updated reports on the recovery process. So we have EPA within 30 days, a report monitoring air, soil, and water in the area. Crews will then provide updated reports every 60 days until the work is done. Not sure what that entails. Every 60 days, a report will be provided.
Until the work is done. When do we decide when the freaking work is done? Do we have a say?
No, we don't have a say.
Because this is something we all know from being in East Palestine. This is something that is going to take years. Like, incredible.
Yep. Also, the Health and Human Services within 60 days, a report summarizing public health testing results, as well as resources that the HHS and CDC have provided for health conditions tied to the derailment. So within 60 days, they'll get a report summarizing public health as well as resources. So within 60 days, they'll get resources that CDC has provided for health conditions tied to the derailment. I wonder what those health conditions are and what those resources are.
Okay, so some of you guys know me, Christina, and Jenna, and little Edward went in to see Mark Durno, and he's a lead of the East Palestine EPA, and I recorded the meeting. It's 91 minutes. It was legal, thankfully, because it was Ohio, which is a one-party permission state. And there are some things that he stated on that tape which directly conflict with some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So now, first of all, they're saying 60 days before they take into account these health problems. By what Durno says, I have no faith that they're going to be like, oh yeah, because guess what? When locals were going to the freaking free clinic, they were being told, well, I don't know what kind of drugs you've taken in the past, and you could have eaten this, that, or the other thing. So I don't have faith that this vague thing of in 60 days we'll reassess. Christina, what is, as someone who has and is affected health wise, what is your, what's your feeling on that?
One thing that I read on here that I was going to bring up too is it says how a report summarizing public health testing results, aside from the health testing that we have gone and done ourselves, like paid for ourselves, what testing results has there been? Like, I went to a health clinic twice in Darlington that was ran by Health and Human Services or somebody, whoever they brought in for the free clinic. I had gone there twice. The first time I went in, they told me, I wrote down all my symptoms I'd been having, and they looked in my ear and said, you have an ear infection, but didn't look at anything else. My ear having, like, when your ears feel like you have pressure in them from changing different altitudes and stuff, that was like the least of my concerns at that point. But so I had an ear infection. Then the other time I went, the lady said to me, well, I just have to be honest with you and tell you that we don't know yet what to tell you, which I appreciated more than just telling me I have an ear infection. But then, like, afterwards, I went to a couple other doctors and got a diagnosis of an upper respiratory infection. And then I got my diagnosis of being exposed to toxic chemicals that were non-occupational. So, like, what health tests are they even talking about? Like, are they going to come in and do health testing? Or
that would be nice.
What?
Yeah.
Like, because other than that, like, we've gone and had to pay out of pocket for vinyl chloride testing or benzene testing. And then they deny that that's even, like, they say, oh, that comes from onions or garlic.
Yes.
Or pumping your own gas. Like,
yeah.
Well, if everybody was a lot of people eat onions and garlic and test or pump their own gas. But if you tested everybody in the population, probably people would not test positive for vinyl chloride or benzene. I didn't. And I pump my own gas. I eat garlic and I eat onions.
Everyone does.
Yeah, seriously.
That is the most ridiculous thing to tell someone.
And then there's other people that we live the same type of lifestyles and they have tested positive. So I don't know, like, what the Health and Human Services are going to do, unless that's also involving the NIH. Another question that I have with all of this concerns the government shutdown. And if it happens, then is any of this going to happen?
Valid.
I did talk to, over a text message, I talked to Mark Durno the other day and asked him, well, will the EPA still be here if they shut down? And he said that they got an exemption, so they will still be here. But will the NIH still come in? Will FEMA still, if they are going to come in? And if FEMA comes in and they get sick, are they going to leave us like the CDC did? And not come back?
Before I forget, Jenna, where did you hear that Biden's going tomorrow? Because Christina has no idea. She hasn't heard anything. So where, is there an article, or, because I couldn't find anything either. I'd be surprised, honestly. But at least he has healthcare. So
I'm surprised right now if he would come because of the government shutdown. But also I would be surprised because, like, where has he been this whole time?
8 months.
Like, there's been so many other places that are, like, seems to us are more concerning than East Palestine. I have my opinions on why they're more concerning than East Palestine, but like places overseas, like you go to where was he at, Vietnam or something, and what's going on in Vietnam?
Like, I have no idea.
Why?
I don't know. And as a journalist, I don't know. Like, honestly, like you know, I'm baffled.
Since this happened, he's gone to all other kinds of places in the world. He's gone on vacation sitting on the beach since this happened. Like, not that far. It's maybe 2 hours on an airplane, and he doesn't even have to go through security and everything. So why can't he just hop on a plane, jump over here, spend a half an hour, and then go to Vietnam or wherever he's going?
And you know, or go to hell, wherever he ends up. Go to the moon, stay there. And you know, it's interesting because people in East Palestine have kind of different answers, but the majority of people I talk to say, I don't give a fuck if Biden comes. I just want him to do what's right.
Like, at this point, I don't care if he comes, but if you come, and one thing though is if he comes, I've heard other journalists bring this up, if he comes, then the media follows. So I guess it just brings more media eyes on what's still going on here. And so that would help, I suppose, but just showing your face. What are you gonna
I think, you know, from day one, and other residents have agreed with me, from day one, you know, he's been saying for 8 months, I'm going. His press secretary has been saying for 8 months, he said he's going to go. He'll keep his word. Right. So that being said, I have always felt from day one, he is waiting till it gets better. However, it has only gotten worse. So I think that was his thinking. You know, I'm just going to keep wait till, you know, things are getting better. Then I'm going to go in, save the day, and be a hero. Only people are sicker now than before.
Yeah. I don't know, like, to me, since he is an old man, maybe he has concerns about coming here and getting sick. But, like, maybe that's what you need to see to know.
Right.
I'm disabled. I don't give a flying fuck what his concerns are. Excuse me, Edward.
you need to see it. Like, I've talking with my representative too. He's like, I brought up to him how I understand that you guys are busy, but you need to take some time to come out here. And he did bring, my representative brought up how there has been a lot of other representatives, other people from the government who did come out here, but they came out here in the beginning. And one time of coming here at the very beginning, yeah, you see that there was a problem then, but maybe you need to come back and see that there's still a problem.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
What does the comment say?
Yeah, we have a comment from Jenna. It says, they're trying to pretend it's no big deal, trying really hard to ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
But did she say where she heard Biden's going tomorrow?
No.
Okay, tell us where, Whoopty, because I can't find that anywhere.
There's a comment saying that there's tents being set up at the building that Norfolk Southern bought.
I had heard that they're
I don't know.
working on opening a training facility there. I think that was for training firemen and stuff to deal with the situation. I mean, I was a firefighter in this area before, and I think that that is a problem here, is that for this situation, for many other hazmat situations and things too, fire training is really important, and to me, you can never do enough of it. For being volunteer fire departments, Pennsylvania it's like one of the top, if not the top, state in the country for the most volunteer fire departments.
Wow.
And being volunteers, it is very hard to get people to do training, because you're just like, you're working and you have other things in your life that you're doing. But for me, I would do a lot of trainings. There was trainings I did miss out on doing, but I would do trainings because you can never be trained enough when it comes to your own life too.
Sure.
And also,
absolutely.
So I support a training facility, but I mean, it should have been done before this happened.
Have you used any of your training as a volunteer firefighter in the past 8 months?
Probably not really.
The one thing I
was talking to Jamie about this earlier, it's kind of like, well, I wonder, like they want FEMA to come in. I have certification through FEMA, for like incident command and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I wonder when they call you, because I don't want to get picked for this.
Oh shit. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
This is too much for me.
Oh my god. That would be so just insane.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What's that say?
Here's a comment. Jenna says, Lewis said something about it earlier today. Didn't say for sure about the Biden visit.
Really?
I might have that too. Yeah, he was on last night talking about some stuff, and he might have mentioned it last night. But yeah, I think he was using that in reference to the tents as well, because like we were wondering if it was for Biden or if it was for this training facility. But yeah, I think it's for the training facility. But
yeah, because I even looked at Biden's Twitter, and he'd be like, I'm going to East Palestine, kiss my feet. And it didn't say anything. So I don't know if that's just conjecture, or I'm not sure.
They really do like surprising us here with who shows up when. So he might not announce it. Alan Shaw never announces when he's coming to town.
I mean, that's a 90-minute drive for me.
What's that?
I was going to say that's a 90-minute drive for me if Biden's going out there.
Oh, dude, I know. I left Jenna a voicemail earlier, and I was like, I was mad that I wouldn't be there if he showed up, but then I'm like, it's actually good because I don't want to take the moment from you guys because you guys have waited for 8 months for this, and I can't keep my mouth shut. Like, honestly, I'll just go there and be like, listen, motherfucker, and then it'll all turn into, this was a bad experience. So I don't know. If he comes, I hope you guys get to. Don't be nice, Christina. You're too nice. Don't be nice. Just tell him how you feel. Tell him, look, like pretend, not even pretend. You got to think about it like this is the only time I'm ever going to have to talk to this man. I have to be real. I have to be real.
What the heck? What would I put on my protest sign for that if I had like 2 seconds worth of eye contact with Joe Biden? What message am I getting across? Like, this executive order means nothing to us. Within 60 days, a report.
1881A. Like,
I mean, it kind of does mean something, I guess, to us because it is a step. I mean, it might be a baby step, but it's a step in recognizing that there might still be a problem here, according to them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's valid. They're acknowledging finally after 8 months, there is still some semblance of problem.
There's something going on here.
Why don't we read the next point of what this entails?
Yeah, I mean, it's just more reports, right? It's Department of Transportation within 60 days, a report on how the department is responding to the derailment. Why does it take him 60 days to make a report, first of all?
And why are there no reports thus far? Can't you give them so that maybe updated ones in 60 days? But like, why are we starting from scratch?
Right. It should be 60 days of the event, which was 8 months ago.
I did thing along the line of the Department of Transportation there that it was part with the White House's release of the executive order. They had mentioned how they have to do this 60 days. And then once the NTSB finishes their findings of like their report that they had come in, they did a hearing out here a while ago. And once they come out with their report, they have 120 days after that to report it to the president. I think it was somewhere along those lines. So for me, I saw that and I was like, wait, so we have to wait for the NTSB report to be done, which won't be done probably until next year. And then we have to wait 120 days after that. Like, it's been over 200 and some days now.
Yeah.
270.
And so, like, one thing my representative did tell me was that, when it comes to railroads and government, things take forever. And like, what is like, I've heard that they're trying to fast track this stuff, but like, what is fast to the government? Because this is slow to us.
It's slow on purpose.
You're right.
It's slow on purpose.
Sure.
Absolutely. This is by design, 100%. What else does this article go on to say?
According to the officials, the executive order was issued to ensure that Norfolk Southern continues to be held accountable for this disaster. To address any of the disaster's long-term effects, and to ensure federal assistance is available to affected communities should needs develop that are not met by Norfolk Southern. That's a lot.
Should needs that are not met develop.
Acting like needs aren't already there that aren't being met already.
Yeah.
And address any long-term effects. I mean,
how long is long-term?
And that's a big word.
Yeah.
According to Mark Durno, acute is 2 weeks. So now we're in the intermediate phase. So what is long term?
Yeah, good question.
Yep.
And yeah, that continues to be Norfolk Southern continues to be held accountable as if we've already been, holding their feet to the fire and making them buy out everyone's homes, which they should, but they should have to buy out all of them, not just one of them. The guy who was going to court.
And on that map they came out with about the homes, I'm literally a quarter mile outside that map. And I was still sick and still have a diagnosis that says I was exposed.
Yep.
So
for sure.
What's still being done?
Remember when I thought that those maps inside Durno's office were to take? Because there was a stack of them, and I was like, oh, I can take one of these. And he goes, no, 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 no. I was like, oh, okay. Like, why not? Okay. Crazy.
So.
Sherrod Brown made a statement. He says, "This is an overdue but welcome step to support the people of East Palestine," said Senator Sherrod Brown in a statement. "There is still much more work to do to make this community whole, and I will continue to push the administration to deliver for East Palestine and hold Norfolk Southern accountable." So a whole lot of nothing in this statement. There's still much more work to do, and I will continue to push the administration. Has he been pushing?
I think him and JD Vance have really done. I mean, they've helped a little bit.
It says they introduced a railroad safety bill back in March.
Yeah, Sherrod Brown. He wrote a letter of support for the declaration to be declared to the president, and JD Vance is all over everything. So he's on top of stuff, it seems, so far.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I don't like either of them because they're politicians, but Sherrod, he has been out in several interviews saying Biden needs to step up. He needs to do this. Okay. So he has been vocal. To me, there's always more that could be done. But they haven't been quiet. Like
some
Shaw.
People.
Here's a comment from Jenna. "Letters aren't enough."
No.
Right. And they have their bills that they've put forward, but in my opinion, like, these bills are kind of like, yeah, they'll help people in the future possibly, but what are they doing for us now?
That's the issue I have.
Yeah.
Because
what about the people who are dying of cancer right now, who are still living in the town or 5 miles from the town or whatever? Like, what about those people right now, today? Like, what are we doing today? Nothing. We're doing nothing today.
Yeah, if somebody does, unfortunately, die from this, is anybody going to make them pay for their funeral?
My fear is not just, and I know a lot of our friends are having health issues and it is so heartbreaking. My fear is not just that somebody dies or when somebody dies, but my fear is that it will be used to say this was not from the derailment. They had this, that, and the other thing wrong with them. There's no way to prove this is from that. And that they're used as a way to deflect.
Right.
We had one man already pass away, right? We covered that in the last.
Yes. Reverend.
Yep.
It's
Reverend Barry Walker.
Yeah, yes. Barry Walker.
Yep.
Thank you.
And more people are being hospitalized. There are people with nodules, there's people going numb, and it's 8 months in. So the fact that they're saying 2 weeks, he's saying, Durno's saying he thinks the majority of health effects happened to those who were there the first 2 weeks. Really? Because me and Jenna went for the last time we were there. We were only actually in town one day, and we were both sick as fuck. So, so it's only the people that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
I was just at someone's house the other day, that we all know. I was at his house the other day, and we were standing outside, my dad and I, talking to him. We were there for about 20 minutes. And when I left, I had a migraine, a stomach ache, and felt like I was going to have to use the bathroom. And 20 minutes. And the person was pretty close to where the derailment actually happened. So it's still going on.
Matt, if you read into this further, now I've read the article, but if you read into this further, does it get into, if FEMA comes, what will they do? Will they bring food? Will they bring water? What is it going to entail?
Well, that's kind of the end of the article. I can switch over to whitehouse.gov.
Is there something on that?
Yeah.
Well, let me see. This is the official statement. President Biden issues executive order to protect people in East Palestine, Ohio, and nearby communities, and
protect them,
and continue to hold Norfolk Southern accountable. Continue. So we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. Awesome. Directs FEMA to appoint a federal disaster recovery coordinator. We already talked about that. Let me just do like a control F for food. Food is mentioned 0 times in the article in this press release. What about water? 5 times. All right, so they're going to be testing contaminated soil and water, testing the air, soil, and water. They're going to remove contaminated soils and wastewater. The EPA will ensure that any remaining contamination in surface stream sediments is addressed. And we already talked about that too. And this is just more of the, within 30 days, EPA will provide a report.
One thing they bring up in there, I just saw it, was water monitoring and air monitoring. And one thing that we keep saying that they need to test in our homes, because the outside air gets circulated around, moved around, and everything. And so when we were kids many years ago, people had their homes open a lot more. You didn't run air conditioners all the time. You had fans in your windows. Now people basically keep their homes shut.
Yep.
To keep the air conditioners running and things. And so all this air has been trapped in our homes.
That's a great point.
People who have not been to their homes in 8 months have not opened their windows and doors really for 8 months. And now all this stuff from their cleanup has also still gone into their homes,
right,
through crevices and whatever have you, and has just built up in your home. And as soon as you turn your furnace on in maybe a few weeks or so for the winter, what's all going to blow through your home?
That's a great
vinyl
point.
chloride. Yeah.
Benzene.
And on top of that, I have a thing in my home to monitor my air. And since this is the last few weeks, it's just been bad all the time. There's been twice that it's been good. So what is still in the air? Because at some point you have to be breathing good air. You can't just always be breathing bad air. And like, so,
yep.
I mean, outside it says good. So why is the air inside bad?
Right.
And you still can, like, you still get, even at my house, you can still smell chlorine smells sometimes when the wind blows in your direction. And so you know that you're still having things blow through your air.
That's incredibly scary.
Yeah. They really need to test in homes, and the EPA is refusing to do that. So would FEMA come in and say, hey, EPA, you need to test in people's homes so that we cover all aspects of this, and don't use the photo ionization detectors that you have been using because maybe they're wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like when I said to Mark in the meeting in the EPA, I said, we want you to use independent testers. And he goes, they're with the EPA.
Right.
What the hell are you talking about, fool? I said independent.
Right.
Somebody hired by the EPA to do testing is a contractor.
Exactly. Oh my God.
So nowhere in here. Go ahead, Christina.
Really refuse to use the independent scientists, and they, on top of that, like, they really refuse to use the independent scientists that show that anything is wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. So it seems like what we're gathering from this executive order comes down to potential things in the future, as far as a lot of testing for this, that, and other thing. However, it does not include immediate help for any of the residents, such as any kind of stimulus checks, any kind of water, food, anything, healthcare.
Nothing tangible.
Nothing tangible at all.
And it doesn't even say how far away they're going to be doing all this testing and everything. Like, are you just going to stick to the 1 mile radius, or are you going to go further?
Right.
It doesn't ever say specifically.
I'm sure that was an accident. They left that out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, so what's the feeling between our East Palestine and vicinity friends? Are they happy about this, or what's the sense?
I think that I don't want to say everyone, because maybe not everyone, but I think that a lot of us are feeling like this is a step forward. It's not really bringing help, but it's not turning help down. And as for people in town, it isn't really like the people who don't think that things are wrong and stuff like that. Right. I think that for them, it doesn't really matter. But I don't know, because I'm not one of them, and I don't think like them. And one thing I think that people were concerned about is if the businesses were going to also be taken care of and helped. And I think that all of us, whether you're a business, whether you're an individual, whether you're the mayor, we've all experienced something that has been traumatic, that has changed our lives in some way. And we all need the help that they could bring.
Absolutely.
They could point the money cannon in your general direction, because we're doing that for Ukraine, right? Ukraine, all the money's just going to the military industrial complex. I don't think there's any poor people in Ukraine that are benefiting from this money cannon.
We don't want the businesses to fail. We don't want
right.
the people to have to move away. We just want our life to be as normal again as it can be. And we don't want anybody in the future to be sick. Unfortunately, like, that is probably going to happen. You can't say for sure that it's going to happen, but it most likely will happen. But none of us want to lose our homes. We don't really. We weren't looking to leave before.
Yeah. Do you kind of, I don't even know if I should bring this up, but I don't think I'm a pessimist. I think I'm a realist. And one of the things that does scare me is that I fear that this will be the breadcrumb. And now, since we're doing these things, we don't need food and water and stimulus checks and healthcare and, you know, housing and things for these people because we're focusing on the cleanup. Is that something you guys have been talking about, or you're just kind of glad that it's, you know, at least at this point?
I think we're just glad that we're at least here. And like, just a hard thing that's going on a lot with us, with anybody here, is everybody's been through a lot. And so people have turned against their own community members too.
Yeah.
And as a community, you need to stick together. Whether you're sick or you're not, or you're a business or you're not, like, everybody just needs to stick together. And the battle is not with your community members. The battle is with Norfolk Southern and anybody else who's lying.
Yeah.
About what's happening. Because there is a reason why there are community members that are sick and why those community members have been sick for 8 months. And they weren't sick before. Because I know I wasn't sick before. I've always been a pretty healthy person. And I wasn't ever sick this long in my life, or even as long as I was sick, for about like 5 months constantly. It's just, everybody has been through a lot, and everybody needs to stand up for their community members, whether they're in East Palestine or Negley or Chippewa or Darlington or anywhere here. Like, it's a thing that's affected all of us. And instead of being so divided and coming down on each other, we need to stick together.
I shouldn't say I can't believe that people are being divided over this, because I can. Or people are divided over every single thing.
Everything.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Before we go, I want to talk to you about tomorrow. Tomorrow is the trials of the field testing. Can you kind of give people a heads up of what that is and what it entails?
What it was going to be was about how the cleanup was going, I guess. But since the government could possibly shut down, they're postponing the hearing. So that's all changed.
Okay, well, cool, because guess what? Now I can plan to be there when it's rescheduled.
Like late last night or early this morning, and said that they weren't going to be doing that, but I don't know. Like, I've heard of another place where the soil had been going, some of the contaminated dirt, where they wanted to expand how much hazardous heavy industrial materials that they could take. And they were supposed to have a hearing, and then it was canceled because of some kind of parcel number being messed up on the notification to the community. So they said that they were going to postpone it, and then they didn't postpone it. They had it. So like, it's like, are they going to try to do that here? Like, that's my thought, because I knew that that happened out there. Or is it really postponed? I don't know. Like, with the government shutdown, I don't see much help coming, because we don't know how long they'll be shut down, if it does shut down. So
yep, they don't support strikers though, but go figure.
And that makes me question too, is if FEMA is an agency of the government that does get shut down.
Yeah.
What will happen?
Absolutely. Oh my God. Well, one of the announcements I wanted to make is the 91-minute recording I made of the EPA, one of the EPA leads in East Palestine, Mark Durno, with me, Christina, Edward, and Jenna. News Nation, who for 8 months has been phenomenal in covering East Palestine. Chris Cuomo, I know. Chris Cuomo has a show on there, and I know, you guys, I know, but you know what? Credit where it's due. People who cover East Palestine are people who cover East Palestine. So Cuomo is holding a town hall, Cuomo town hall, whatever, Tuesday night, and part of that tape I recorded from our meeting will be premiering on that town hall. You do not want to miss it. I'm going to be giving clips here and there to people, and then also releasing some myself. But that's going to be the first one that's going to come out. I gave them an exclusive, so definitely tune into that. Also, another announcement, Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern is when it's going to air. I'm doing an East Palestine panel with Jamie, Chrissy, and Hillary, who I'm sure you all know, and Marianne Williamson will be joining as well. It's not necessarily going to be about her campaign, anything like that. That's not what this is. This is going to be about, she has been the only one who's running who has even been to East Palestine and even met with the people. So it's very important. And I know a lot of the residents appreciate it, including Chrissy, who met with her last time she came. And we're going to talk about what is going on. Is this executive order enough for her? Does she think it's, what would she do if she were, president? We're going to talk about East Palestine, healthcare, environment. That is what we're talking about. Anything else, don't bother. We're not getting into it. This is not going to be necessarily about a campaign. This is about bringing attention to East Palestine and trying to get her 3 million followers to, trying to get some people here. Maybe if she's talking about it more, other people will listen. This is what I'm hoping. I appreciate her. She always comes back when I ask. So I'm hoping you guys tune in. That'll be Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much again, Matt, for helping out.
Sure.
And thank you, Christina. What do you want to leave our viewers with?
Well, I really don't know. Just that I guess they'll look for more excitement to come, because we don't know what's happening now either.
Yeah, seriously. Well, you can always tune in here to hear EP updates. That's for sure.
Be careful who you trust.
Ain't that the truth? But she ain't talking about me, you guys. Right?
No, I'm not talking
no, Mark Thurno, right?
The big brother out there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Sometimes when I talk about PELOSI, my freaking YouTube starts buffering. Like, I'm not even kidding you. That's happened to me numerous times. It's really weird. But yeah, seriously. Or there could be someone like some punk rock chick with like turquoise hair who lives in Harrisburg who wants to record you for 91 minutes. Psycho. That's kind of savage. But yeah, that's what we got to do. Jamie knows. Always record everything. Well, thank you again. What's that?
Another thing just to put out there real quick too is like this can happen anywhere. It can be any type of disaster that the same thing could go on. And I always think about knowledge is power. So never stop learning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, I tell you this all the time, but your knowledge just blows my mind. The knowledge you have about science and chemicals, and it's just inspiring. It really is. You're just incredible. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Unity Council. Yay. We love Unity Council and everyone on it. Look them up online, give them a follow, donate if you can. They're awesome. They are compiled of many people I've had on the show, including Christina. They do incredible work, and they are honestly the best activists I have ever worked with, hands down. So definitely share their posts, share their articles, look them up, contribute if you can, but definitely. Thank you so much again, Christina. Always great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, Addie. Bye, Kyla.
Adios.